My life was just code and takeout. Then she burst in, a sudden ray of sunlight in my gray world. I didn't know how to accept that kind of kindness. I definitely didn't know how to fall for someone. But it seemed like she wasn't planning on giving up. The hospital air was thick with the smell of antiseptic. I sat on a plastic chair in the hallway, waiting for my name to be called. The back of my hand was still bleeding. I cut it on some glass at the office. It wasn't serious, but the office manager insisted I get checked out. Next, Ethan Hayes. I walked into the exam room and held out my injured hand. The doctor glanced at it. It's a little deep. You'll need a couple of stitches. He turned his head and called out, "Claire, can you take him and get this sorted?" A nurse emerged from behind a curtain. A surgical mask covered most of her face, leaving only her eyes visible. They were bright. "Follow me," she said. I followed her into a treatment room. She pointed at a chair. "Sit." I sat down and watched her prep the instruments. Cotton balls, betadine, needle, and thread. As she leaned over to clean the wound, I caught the faint scent of antiseptic and a hint of shampoo. "Programmer?" she asked suddenly. I was taken aback. "How did you know?" "The plaid shirt," she said. Her eyes crinkled, and I could tell she was smiling. "Plus, you've got calluses on your fingers. From typing all the time." I didn't say anything. Her movements were gentle. I barely felt the needle as she stitched the cut. "All done." She tied off the final knot. "Keep it dry for 3 days. Come back next week to get the stitches out." I stood up. "Thanks." As I reached the door, she called out, "Hey, Ethan." I turned back. She held out a small piece of paper. A string of numbers was written on it. "It's my number," she said. "Text me if you have any problems with it." I held the note, a little stunned, but I stuffed it into my pocket. It was 9 p.m. by the time I got home. I opened my laptop to finish up some work, but my mind kept drifting. The neat stitches on my hand were her handiwork. I pulled out the piece of paper. I saved her number under the contact name she'd written down. Claire, Starlight Sleeper. Isin Atext. "Hey, it's Ethan from the hospital," she replied almost instantly. "Does it hurt?" "No." "Remember to take the antibiotics the doctor prescribed." "Okay." And that was it. I went back to writing code, but I couldn't stop glancing at my phone. I found her on Instagram. Her profile was full of selfies in her scrubs, smiling brightly. She looked different from the serious nurse at the hospital. The next day at work, a coworker saw my hand. "Nice one, Ethan." A little injury was all it took to get a nurse's number. I frowned. I didn't ask for it. Yeah, right? Like nurses at Denver General, just hand out their numbers for fun. I didn't bother explaining. As I was leaving work, my phone buzzed. "Did you change the dressing?" It was Claire. "Not yet." "You need to. Send me a picture when you're done so I can check it." I stared at the screen for a long time. This nurse, wasn't she a little too dedicated? Still, I took a picture and sent it. "That's a terrible wrap job." She replied immediately. "I'll come over and do it for you tomorrow." "You don't have to do that. It's no trouble. It's my day off." The next day, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Claire standing there. She wasn't in scrubs, just a simple t-shirt and jeans. She was holding a small medical kit. "How do you know where I live?" I asked. She blinked. "Your address is on your chart." She walked inside like it was the most natural thing in the world. My apartment was a mess, with takeout containers still on the coffee table. She didn't seem to mind, sitting down and opening her kit. "Hand," she said. She unwrapped the messy gauze I'd applied, her brow furrowing. "I told you not to get it wet. Did you shower?" "Yes." She shot me a look, but her touch was still gentle. She applied fresh ointment and redressed the wound. This time, she was even more meticulous than she had been at the hospital. "Thank you," I said. She looked up at me. "Ethan, are you always this quiet?" "Yeah." "Then how do you write code?" "That takes communication." I didn't answer. After she finished, she didn't make a move to leave. "Have you eaten?" she asked. "Ordered delivery." She got up and opened my fridge. It was empty, except for a few craft beers. "This is all you have. The food will be here soon." She sighed and picked up her purse. "I'll be right back." 20 minutes later, she returned with several grocery bags. They were filled with vegetables and meat. "I'm making you dinner," she said. "You need proper nutrition for the wound to heal." I stood in the kitchen doorway, watching her expertly wash and chop vegetables. It felt surreal. "Do you do this often, for strangers?" I asked. She glanced back at me. "Are you a stranger?" "We've only met twice. But I've seen you a lot more than that," she said with a smile. "You come to our hospital pretty often to pick up your Ambien prescription." I froze. She was right. I'd had insomnia for a long time. The food was incredible, better than any takeout I'd ever had. She was a talker, telling me stories about the hospital while we ate. She told me she'd been in the pharmacy the last time I'd picked up my prescription. She said I always wore the same plaid shirt. She mentioned a time she saw me sitting in the hospital courtyard, just staring into space for 2 hours. Were you following me? I asked. She shook her head. Just happened to see you. Why were you paying attention? Because you're cute, she said, matter-of-factly. I almost choked on my food. I looked down on my plate, feeling my ears get hot. After dinner, she got ready to leave. I walked her to the door, where she turned. Can I come back tomorrow to change the dressing? It's too much trouble for you. It's not trouble if I want to do it. She left, leaving behind the lingering aroma of a home-cooked meal. It was different from the smell of my usual takeout. It felt more like life. That night, I couldn't sleep, so I took one of my pills. My phone screen was lit up, showing our text conversation. The last message was for me. Thanks. She'd replied with a smiley face. I opened her Instagram and scrolled through her pictures again. The most recent one was a shot of the city at night, with the caption, "Did a good deed today." A comment from Mutual Connection read, "Another stray animal rescued?" She'd replied, "A little bigger than a stray animal." Was she talking about me? For the next week, she came over every day. Sometimes she brought groceries to cook, other times just fruit. My hand healed, and she went with me to the hospital to get the stitches out. "It's healed perfectly," the doctor said. She looked happier than I was. Outside, the Denver sun was bright. "To celebrate your recovery, I'm treating you to dinner," she said. I shook my head. "I should treat you, to thank you for everything." Her eyes curved into crescents when she smiled. Okay, she was just as talkative at dinner. She said I looked less stressed now that the stitches were out. She said the shirt I was wearing looked better than my usual plaid. "Ethan, why are you always alone?" "Habit. Don't you get lonely?" "Code doesn't get lonely." She propped her chin on her hand, studying me. "What about me? I come over every day. Does that bother you?" I thought for a moment. "No. So you like it?" "I don't dislike it." She didn't get offended. She just went back to her food. "We'll take it slow. I'm patient." When she dropped me off at my apartment building, we ran into my neighbor. "Ethan, is this your girlfriend?" "She's a lovely girl." Before I could say anything, Claire jumped in. "Hi, Mrs. Gable. I'm Claire." Upstairs, I looked at her. "Why didn't you correct her?" "Correct what?" she asked, feigning innocence. "You're not my girlfriend." "Not yet," she said, "but I could be." She started to seep into every corner of my life. My fridge was stocked with food she'd bought. A hair tie she'd left behind sat on my coffee table. There was a spare towel for her in my bathroom. On the weekend, she dragged me outside. "Programmers need sunlight," she declared. We went to Washington Park, and she bought ice cream, giving me half. We went to a movie, a horror film. She got scared and grabbed my arm. "Ethan, your hands are so cold." "It's because your hands are warm." "That's because I'm alive," she said. I drove her back to her dorm, which was in the hospital's residential complex. "I'm on a night shift next week, so I can't come over," she said. "Okay. Are you going to miss me?" "No." She pouted. "Would it kill you to lie a little?" She turned to leave, then spun back around. "Text me. The night shift gets boring." I watched her walk into the building before I drove away. My phone vibrated. A text from her. "You were lying just now?" I saw your ears turn red. I touched my ear. It was in fact a little warm. The week she was on nights, the apartment felt especially quiet. Takeout tasted bland again. My insomnia got worse. At 2 in the morning, she sent me a text. "Just finished with the code blue. I'm exhausted." I stared at the screen, unsure how to reply. I finally sent back. "Take it easy. You're still awake?" "Insomnia again?" "Yeah. Want me to tell you a story?" "No." But she sent a voice note anyway. It was an old, simple lullaby. Her voice was soft, and she was slightly off-key. After listening, I actually felt a little sleepy. When I woke up the next morning, I realized I'd fallen asleep while on a voice call with her that she must have initiated. I could hear her steady breathing on the other end. I quietly hung up. I was completely out of it all day at work. That night, she texted me. I fell asleep. "Did you sleep okay?" "Yeah, I did. Same time tonight?" And so, every night, she would call. Sometimes she sang, sometimes she read news articles, and sometimes there was just the sound of her breathing. I started taking less of my sleeping medication. The moment her week of night shifts was over, she came straight to my place. She had dark circles under her eyes, but was smiling broadly. Ethan, did you miss me? I looked down, tying my shoes. No, really. She leaned in close to look at my face. She was too close. I could count her eyelashes. I took a step back. Really? She didn't press the issue and started raiding my fridge instead. I knew it. The second I'm not here, you go right back to takeout. She fell asleep while cooking dinner that day. She was slumped over the dining table, breathing evenly. I put a blanket over her shoulders and just watched her for a minute. She was quieter like this, less loud, but it felt too quiet. She didn't wake up until dusk. She rubbed her eyes. How did I fall asleep? You were exhausted. Oh no, my soup. She ran to the kitchen. The soup had boiled away. She looked crestfallen. I wanted to make you something nourishing. It's okay. We can order delivery. She kept yawning through dinner. Don't call me tonight. Get some rest, I said. She blinked. Are you worried about me? You're just loud when you're tired. She grinned smugly. When I walked her downstairs, she suddenly gave me a hug. It was light and quick. Ethan, your heart is beating really fast. Then she ran off. I stood there for a long time. A new project at work got busy, and I started working late. Her nursing schedule was all over the place, and sometimes we wouldn't see each other for days. But she texted me every day. Have you eaten? Are you sleeping? Remember to miss me. My replies were short, but she never seemed to mind. My coworkers said I changed, that I wasn't just staring at a screen all day anymore. On my birthday, I completely forgot. I came home from work to find her waiting outside my door. She was holding a cake, her nose red from the cold. Happy birthday. I was stunned. How did you know? It's on your chart. Silly, she smiled. She had decorated my apartment with balloons and streamers. The cake was small, but perfectly made. She sang happy birthday completely off-key, make a wish, and blow out the candles. I closed my eyes and I heard her say, "You're supposed to say the third wish out loud for it to come true." I opened my eyes to see her looking at me expectantly. I wish for code without bugs, I said. She pouted. Pick another one. After I blew out the candles, she gave me a gift. It was a scarf she had knitted. The stitches were uneven. It's my first time. You're not allowed to say it's ugly. I put it on. It was a little scratchy, but it was warm. Thanks. That's it, she asked, dissatisfied. I hesitated, then gently hugged her. I love it. Her face turned red. It was the first time I'd ever seen her blush. I had planned to work through Thanksgiving. I had no one at home anymore. My parents were divorced and living abroad with their new families. When she found out, she insisted I come home with her. My mom is an amazing cook. It wouldn't be right. Just think of it as a follow-up visit from a patient's family. In the end, I went. Her house was lively, and her parents were warm and welcoming. They kept piling food on my plate, asking me all sorts of questions. So, Ethan, what do you do for work? He's a programmer, Claire answered for me. A brilliant one. She spent the whole time talking me up to her family. After dinner, I helped her mom with the dishes. Later, I was standing on the back deck when her dad came out and offered me a beer. No, thanks, Mr. Bennett. He nodded. Claire tells me you take good care of her. I didn't know what to say. She's been strong-willed since she was a kid. Once she sets her mind on something, there's no stopping her. That evening, a football game was on, and she dragged me onto the sofa to watch. The warm glow of the living room lit up her face, making her eyes sparkle. Ethan, happy Thanksgiving. On the drive back, she fell asleep, her head resting on my shoulder. Her breath was warm against my neck. It tickled, but I didn't move. When we got to her place, she woke up still groggy. Want to come up for a bit? It's late. You should get some rest. She got out of the car, then knocked on the window. I rolled it down. What's wrong? She leaned in and quickly kissed me on the cheek. You have to like me even more this year. That spring, I got sick with a fever. I took a day off from work and was drifting in and out of sleep at home. Claire came over after her shift and felt my forehead. She gasped, "You're burning up. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" She called out of work to take care of me, taking my temperature and making sure I took my medicine. She used a cool cloth to bring the fever down, her touch gentle as she wiped my skin. I woke up in the middle of the night to find her asleep in a chair next to my bed. Her hand was still resting on my forehead. The slight movement woke her. "Feeling any better?" she asked, her voice thick with sleep. "Much better. You should sleep in the bed." "Nope. I have to monitor my patient. We ended up squeezed together in my twin bed. She smelled of antiseptic and that faint, sweet scent, just like the day we first met. Ethan, do you know why I like you? No, because you seem so lonely, but you're also so strong. I was silent. She turned to face me. And also, you're cute. You've said that a lot. I don't want you to forget. The fever broke in the morning. She made me oatmeal. The first time I really saw you was that day you were picking up your prescription. You were sitting in the hallway, and your posture just looked so alone. I just thought, this is a person who needs to be loved. I looked down at my oatmeal, a lump forming in my throat. The hospital was organizing a volunteer medical trip to an underserved community in rural New Mexico. She signed up. It meant we wouldn't see each other for a month. The cell service was spotty, so we could only exchange a few texts a day. She sent me a picture of herself in scrubs, giving vaccines to children. She was smiling, looking genuinely happy. The stars here are incredible. I'll take you to see them when you visit. I replied, okay. In truth, I didn't know if I'd ever go. With her gone, life went back to the way it was before. But not entirely. I found myself thinking about the taste of her cooking, the sound of her voice. My coworker said I was back to my old self. Quieter, more of a workaholic. When she came back a month later, she was tan and a little thinner. But her eyes were brighter than ever. She came straight to my office, waiting for me downstairs. She ran and threw her arms around me, ignoring the people walking by. Ethan, I missed you so much. She was thinner, but her hug was strong. Tight. I brought you so many presents. There was herbal tea from a local shop, handmade cookies, and a beautiful, smooth stone sheet found. That night, she told me all about her trip, her eyes shining. She talked about how sweet the kids were, how much the elderly needed help. I think I finally understand the real meaning of being a nurse. I looked at her, and it felt like she was glowing. She got even busier. On top of her hospital work, she started joining all sorts of volunteer activities. But she always made time for me. Sometimes it was a 10-minute video call on her lunch break, other times a single text during her night shift. My project was launching, and I worked overtime for a week straight. She came by to bring me a late-night snack and found me asleep at my desk. She gently draped her coat over me, but I woke up. Did I wake you? No. I was about to get up anyway. The chicken soup she brought was still warm. You have such dark circles, she said, gently touching the skin under my eye. The project is almost finished. After it's done, let's go on a trip. The project launch was a huge success. The company threw a party and said we could bring a guest. After hesitating, I asked her if she wanted to come. She was thrilled. She bought a new dress and spent an hour on her makeup. My colleagues all loved her, saying she was bubbly and sweet. So this is the famous girlfriend we've been hearing about, one of them said. She just smiled sweetly and didn't correct him. On the way home, she asked me, Ethan, am I your girlfriend now? Under the streetlight, her eyes were shining. I nodded, yes. She jumped up and hugged me like a little kid. After we made it official, she became even more a part of my life. More of her things migrated to my apartment until her presence was everywhere. But she kept her dorm room, saying she needed her own space. She taught me things, like how I should eat vegetables other than potatoes, like how listening to rain sounds can help with insomnia, and that you should tell someone when you miss them. Ethan, do you miss me? Yes. How much? A little. Nope. You have to say a lot. She was like a little sun, warm but never scorching. I started getting used to having her in my life. Used to someone saying good night every night, used to someone dragging me out of the house on weekends. But sometimes I still felt a sense of unease. I was afraid that this happiness wasn't real, that I'd wake up one day and it would all be a dream. One night, I woke up with a start and realized she wasn't in bed. I walked out of the bedroom and saw her on the balcony on the phone. Her voice was quiet, and she was crying. I stood there, hidden in the shadows, and didn't approach her. When she finished the call and turned, she saw me and quickly wiped her tears. What's wrong? I asked. She shook her head. Nothing. Just something with a patient. She was obviously lying, but I didn't push it. The next day, her eyes were still swollen, but she pretended everything was fine. I played along. I found out later that a patient had passed away, a young girl with cancer. Claire was devastated, but tried to put on a brave face for me. Until one night, she just broke down. I couldn't save her. I tried so hard. I awkwardly patted her back, completely useless at comforting people. All I could do was be there with her. Ethan, do you think I'm weak? No. Being a nurse is so hard. Watching life slip away right in front of you. But you've saved so many more, I said. She looked up, her eyes red. You're finally learning how to comfort someone. After that, she seemed to grow stronger. She still gave every patient her all, but she learned how to manage the emotional toll. And I learned to give her a hug when she was sad, even if I still wasn't great with words. That fall, she took her advanced nursing certification exam. She was a nervous wreck, studying late into the night. I'd stay up with her, even though I didn't understand any of the medical jargon. The day of the test, she walked out of the testing center in tears. I think I failed, but when the results came out, she had passed with flying colors. She was ecstatic, telling everyone, "My Ethan is my good luck charm." In reality, I hadn't done a thing. She officially became a certified nurse and was promoted to the cardiology department. She was busier, often working overtime, but we would video call every night before bed, even if it was just for 5 minutes. "I saved someone today," she'd always say proudly. And I'd be on the other side of the screen, nodding. "That's amazing." Sometimes she was so tired she'd fall asleep mid-call. I'd just watch her sleep until my phone died. My friends all said I'd changed. I was more considerate. I remembered holidays and anniversaries, though I was still a man of few words. For her birthday, I learned to cook a few dishes. I made a complete mess of the kitchen, but the final product was edible. She was so moved she cried, saying I was finally getting it. "Ethan, are you happy now?" I thought about it. I am. How happy? A lot happier than I was before I met you. She leaned in and kissed me. "I'm going to make you even happier." Winter came again. We had been together for a year. Time flies. I came home from work and saw her busy in the kitchen. Hearing the door, she turned around and smiled. "Go wash up. I have good news to tell you over dinner." As for what the good news was, she didn't say, and I didn't ask. But looking at her sparkling eyes, I had a feeling it was something wonderful. The good news was that there was an opening for an advanced training program in Boston. 3 months. "My supervisor said I should apply," she said, her eyes shining, her hand trembling as she served soup. I took the bowl from her. "When did this happen?" "I applied last week. The first round of selections was announced today." Dinner was a little quiet after that. She glanced at me. "You're not happy." "I am," I said, putting a piece of chicken on her plate. "It's a great opportunity. But 3 months is a long time," she said, poking at the rice in her bowl. "And you'll definitely go back to not eating properly." That night, she was on her bed looking through brochures about the program, her feet kicking in the air. I was trying to write code, but I couldn't focus. "Ethan," she said, suddenly sitting up, "maybe I shouldn't go." "Why not?" "I'm afraid you'll starve to death," she said seriously. I closed my laptop. "I won't starve." She crawled over and rested her head on my shoulder. "Will you miss me?" "Yes." "Video call every day?" "Okay." She was quiet for a moment. "I'm actually a little scared." "Of what?" "That I won't do well. That I'll let my department down." I stroked her hair. "You'll be great." She looked up at me. "You just complimented me." "It's the truth." She beamed, her eyes crinkling, and gave me a quick kiss on the cheek. "With you cheering me on, I know I can do it." She was incredibly busy before she left, but she still spent her time prepping things for me. She made and froze dozens of pierogies, wrote out recipes, and taped them to the kitchen cabinets. She even messaged my coworkers, asking them to make sure I ate lunch. It was raining the day I took her to the airport. Her eyes were red, but she held back her tears. "You have to miss me every day." "I will." "And no talking to other girls." "I won't." The final boarding call came over the speakers. She suddenly threw her arms around me. A tight, desperate hug. "Ethan, wait for me to come back." I watched her go through security, her back getting smaller and smaller. It felt like a part of me was missing. The rain stopped on the drive home, and the sunset was beautiful. But the apartment was deafeningly quiet. The fridge was covered in her sticky notes. A hair tie she'd left was on the nightstand. The first night, the audio on our video call was terrible. She was in a dorm with 3 other nurses. "It's so dry in Boston. I got a nosebleed," she complained in the camera. But when she talked about her classes, her whole face lit up. Before she hung up, she whispered, "I miss you." The connection froze for a second, but I heard her loud and clear. The days after she left were harder than I expected. I went back to ordering takeout, but I found myself consciously adding a side of vegetables, just like she taught me. My insomnia came back, but I didn't tell her. One night, I woke up with a sharp pain in my stomach and saw she had texted me 10 minutes earlier. Just got out of class. The stars in Boston aren't as bright as they are back home. She'd attached a picture of a hazy night sky. I replied, "Why are you still up?" She responded instantly. More importantly, "Why are you up?" Insomnia again. I called her. Her voice was groggy. "Stomachache?" she asked, immediately recognizing the sound of my breathing. "The medicine is in the left drawer, third one down." I found the pills and took them. She was still on the line, directing me. "Drink warm water, not cold, and have oatmeal for breakfast tomorrow, no coffee." I did as she said, and my stomach started to feel better. "Claire." "Yeah." "Nothing. Go to sleep." She started humming that same, off-key lullaby, and somehow, I fell asleep. When I woke up, the call was still connected. I could hear her steady breathing and the soft snores of her roommate. I quietly hung up. My project hit a major snag, and the team worked overtime for 2 weeks straight. Her training was also in its most critical phase, and she often didn't get back to her dorm until after midnight. Our video calls got shorter, sometimes just a quick goodnight. But we texted every day. She'd send pictures of the cafeteria food. I'd send pictures of the stray cat that lived outside my office. It was another kind of company. I completely forgot about my birthday. I left the office at 10 p.m. and found her standing downstairs. She was wearing a thick down jacket and the lopsided scarf she'd made me. "How are you here?" Her nose was red from the cold. "I got 3 days off. Surprise." In the car, she explained, "I wanted to be here at midnight for your birthday, but my flight was delayed." She added in a whisper, "I skipped my last practical class, so don't tell my supervisor." It was almost midnight when we got home. She pulled a small cupcake out of her bag and stuck a candle in it. "Quick, make a wish." After I blew out the candle, she handed me a gift. A pair of gloves she'd knitted. The stitching was better than the scarf. "It's so cold in Boston, and I kept thinking about how your hands are always cold." I put them on. They were warm. "Thanks." "That's it?" She raised an eyebrow. I kissed her. She froze, and her ears slowly turned red. The 3 days flew by. She spent them all cooking for me and tidying up the apartment. It was like she was trying to cram 3 months of care into 3 days. When I took her back to the airport, she kept her head down. "Just 1 more month and I'll be back for good." I said. "Yeah," she mumbled. Just before she went through security, she ran back. She stuffed a folded piece of paper into my hand. "Read 1 line a day. No skipping ahead." After her plane took off, I unfolded the note. It was creased into many sections. The first page said, "Day 1. Remember to take your vitamins." Each subsequent page had another sentence. Some reminded me to eat, others told me not to stay up too late. The very last line said, "When I get back, I have something important to tell you." On the subway ride home, I got a text from her. "Landed in Boston." "Did you read the note?" I did. "Be good." I carefully folded the note and put it in my wallet, like it was a treasure. The last month, she was even busier. She had final exams and a paper to write. Often, she'd fall asleep in the middle of our video calls. The day I read the last line on the note, she came home. She was thinner, but her eyes held a new kind of confidence. The airport was crowded. She ran and threw her arms around me. "Ethan, I graduated at the top of my class." Her voice was loud, and people turned to look. I didn't care. In the car, she talked nonstop about everything she'd learned. New techniques, experts she had met. My supervisor said I might get to lead some projects on my own now. While we were stopped at a red light, she suddenly went quiet. "What is it?" I asked. "That important thing. I should probably just say it now." She turned to look at me, her expression completely serious. "Ethan Hayes, will you marry me?" My hand slipped on the steering wheel, and the car lurched. A car behind us honked. "I'm serious," she said, her eyes impossibly bright. "I did a lot of thinking in Boston. I want to spend the rest of my life with you." The light turned green. I started driving again. My palms were sweating. She didn't press me for an answer. When we got home, she unpacked and started tidying up. She hummed a little song, as if she had just commented on the weather. It wasn't until dinner that she brought it up again. "You don't have to answer right away. I can wait." The way she kept pushing food around her plate gave away her nerves. "Why now?" I asked. Because life is too short, she said, putting down her fork. During my training, I saw so much loss. There was this one patient. One day he was talking about his wife's upcoming birthday, and the next day he was gone. Her eyes welled up. I don't want to waste any more time. I put some food on her plate. Let me think about it. That night, after she fell asleep, I looked through her notes for Boston. Tucked between pages of medical diagrams were pages filled with my name, scrawled over and over. There were little phrases mixed in. We have to be together forever. I want to have his kids. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened, but she kept avoiding my gaze. As she was leaving for work, I stopped her. Claire. She turned, looking anxious. Okay. She stared at me, confused. Okay, what? Yes. To the marriage thing. She stood frozen for a second, and then tears started streaming down her face. She was laughing and crying at the same time. It was a mess. After the proposal, life didn't feel that different. She went to work, I wrote code. Except now, sometimes I catch her staring at her hand, muttering, I guess we should get rings now. We went shopping for them that weekend. She tried on a few, but said they were all too expensive. We settled on simple, matching platinum bands. I have to wash my hands constantly at work anyway. Can't wear anything too fancy, she reasoned. Walking out of the jewelry store, she kept looking down at her hand, flexing her fingers, as if the ring were already there. When she told her mom, she cried, saying her daughter had finally found someone. My parents sent a gift from Europe with a simple card. Congratulations. My coworkers demanded we treat them to drinks, and she happily agreed. At the bar, when they tried to get her to drink too much, I stepped in and took a few shots for her. Under the table, she secretly squeezed my hand. You're cute when you're drunk, Ethan. I was definitely a little buzzed, but I remember her eyes were very bright. On the way home, she supported me as I walked. You're so heavy, she complained, but she didn't let go. The moonlight was bright, casting our shadows long on the sidewalk. We'll always be like this, right? She asked suddenly. Yeah. Until we're old and gray. Yeah. She smiled, her dimples showing. 3 months after the proposal, something happened at the hospital. A patient under her care took a sudden turn for the worse and didn't make it. The family questioned the medical procedures and specifically blamed her. She was a wreck during that time, constantly rereading the patient's chart. I know I followed protocol. She'd say, her eyes bloodshot. The hospital's internal investigation cleared her of any wrongdoing. But the family was relentless, coming to her floor to cause a scene every day. One evening when I went to pick her up, I found them cornering her. They were saying horrible things. She just stood there with her head down, like a kid who had done something wrong. I walked over and put my arm around her. The investigation is over. Please respect the medical staff. The family left, muttering under their breath. She leaned against me, her shoulders shaking. It wasn't my fault. I know, I said, rubbing her back. Things eventually calmed down, but she was still down for a while. Until one day, the patient's wife came to see her. She had found a letter her husband had written, tucked into his medical records. In it, he praised Claire for being such a dedicated and caring nurse. Claire cried for a long time after reading that letter. And then, slowly, she started to heal. We got the marriage license on a regular Tuesday. She had just come off a night shift and had faint dark circles under her eyes. But she insisted on putting on makeup. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. The courthouse wasn't busy, and the whole process was quick. When they handed us the certificate, she turned it over and over in her hands. So we're official now. The sun was bright when we stepped outside. She pulled me into a selfie. Time to make it Instagram official. In the photo, her smile is huge. My expression is a little stiff. That night, our families had dinner together at a restaurant. She drank a little too much and hugged my mom, calling her mom. My mom, her eyes glistening, hugged her back. I took her back to her dorm to pack the last of her things. She was officially moving in the next day. She sat on the floor, sorting through boxes, then suddenly paused. Ethan, you'll always be good to me, right? I will, even when I get old and wrinkly. Yes. She went back to her packing, humming a little tune. But I knew she needed those reassurances. Before bed, she was looking at our wedding photo on her phone. It's beautiful, she said. Whether she meant the photo or the marriage, I didn't ask. I just pulled her closer. Living together was easier than I expected. Her nursing schedule was erratic, and my project deadlines meant I often worked late. But we always left the light on for each other. She learned to cook a few of my favorite meals. I got used to her hair clogging the shower drain. One night, she came home from a late shift, and I was already asleep. I felt her gently touch my face. "Ethan, thank you for marrying me." I didn't open my eyes, but I reached for her hand and held it. I think she smiled. She snuggled up against me and fell asleep. In our second year of marriage, she was promoted to head nurse. She was even busier, but we made a point to eat at least one meal together every day. Sometimes it was over a 10-minute video call. Other times it was instant ramen late at night. I switched jobs for a higher salary and, consequently, more stress. One night, I worked until well past midnight, and when I came downstairs, I found her waiting for me. She had fallen asleep, leaning against the wall of the lobby, a thermos in her lap. The pork rib stew inside was still hot. She rubbed her eyes. "Figured you hadn't eaten." Our friends envied how good we were together. But we argued, of course, over whose turn it was to do the dishes, over a forgotten anniversary, over being too busy with work. But after every fight, she was always the first to speak. "Are you still mad? Because I'm about to kiss you, mad or not." And then she would. In the spring of our third year, she got pregnant. She was already 2 months along when we found out. She called me, crying, "What do we do? I lifted an oxygen tank last week." The first checkup showed everything was perfectly fine, and she finally relaxed. Then she started buying every parenting book she could find and made me read them too. Her morning sickness was severe, and she lost weight. But she insisted on going to work. "Pregnant women need exercise," she said. One night, she got a bad leg cramp, and I was massaging it for her. "I hope the baby looks like you," she said suddenly. "Why?" "Because you're handsome," she smiled, but with my personality, a little more outgoing. A month before her due date, she started her maternity leave. She would send me updates all day. She kicked me 3 times today. The day she went into labor, I waited outside the delivery room for 8 hours. She was exhausted when they wheeled her out, but her eyes were shining. "It's a girl. She looks just like you." The baby was so small, her face red and wrinkly. The way Claire held her was the most gentle thing I'd ever seen. "What about Luna?" she asked. "For her name." "Why?" "Because Claire means bright, like starlight. And you are my world, and she is our moon," she said, her voice soft. I nodded and gently kissed her forehead. "Whatever you want." Outside the hospital window, the moon was full and bright, just like the one in her name.